whole different species. I already knew he was going to be difficult. Any name. I don't care. No, 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 no. Hi guys, let's get ready and talk about some crazy work story times. I normally do these videos on TikTok, but this is going to be a long one, so we're going to do it on YouTube. So for a little backstory, I work at UGG, so retail customer service, and customers in general are a whole different species. I'm not saying that in a way to like be mean or be rude. If you know, you know, you know. Also, I do want to start off by saying I will have all the products I use linked down below, because I'm not really going to be sitting here saying what I'm going to be using. I'm just going to be talking about some customer interactions that make me question my life. So this happened yesterday. It kind of inspired this video. So shout out to that customer. Guy walks up. I'm at this cash wrap and he's like, hey, I have a return. I know how to do returns or exchanges, so I called him over. I was like, hey, I can help you here. He comes up, he sets his bag down. There's like a pair of boots or something, I don't really remember, and he's like, oh, I want to return them. Okay, great. Let's get into the process of the return. When he first walked up, I'm not one to judge off of first impressions or looks, or I don't judge off that. I judge off of energy. How I feel people is through their energy. Ooh, I instantly regretted when he came up. I was like, oh, you're gonna be difficult. I already knew he was gonna be difficult. I just didn't know the level of difficulty he was gonna put me through. I put in the receipt information, which basically you scan the barcode or you type in the number, whichever one's easier. And I scan the item and I ask him, is there anything wrong with it? And he like looks at me like I asked him an 8-eyeballed question. He's like, no, like why would you ask that? I have to ask that. Not that I care. I have to ask. That's the whole process. And we're already on step 1. And he was being difficult. And I was like, all right. Continued on. Scanned it, you know, inputted that there was nothing wrong with it. I, you know, checked over the item, nothing was wrong. I was like, all right, great. Moved on to the next screen, which is customer information. I don't understand why they ask for a first and last name. I'm guessing it has to do with their log history and that's how they track. I don't freaking know. So I asked the customer, I was like, hey sir, like, can I get a good first and last name? He looks at me and he's like, what? And sir, can I get a good first and last name? I was like, okay, maybe he just didn't hear me. So, you know, I continued on freaking I asked this guy, like, I'm not even trying to exaggerate, 8 times for a first and last name. And he kept fighting me. He was like, I don't really feel comfortable giving you my first and last name. Never, never, never have I ever had a customer refuse to give me a name. Any name. Any name. Doesn't even have to be your name. I just need a name. Yeah, he just kept fighting me for a first and last name. He's asking me if I can skip the name part. I was like, no. I tried. Like, I clicked the little button to like go to the next, and it gave me red signs and like the asterisks where it's like you need to enter a name. I was like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. So he's fighting to give me his name. I'm really confused. Like I said, I have never had a customer refuse to give me a name. I can't move on until I get a name. And guys, I know you're probably thinking, Abby, can you just type in a name? No, because I'm on camera. I don't know if our camera picks up audio, but I'm not gonna get in trouble later if I decide to type in a name. That's the whole point. That's why we ask the customers for their names. We don't give them an option when we ask for their name. Can I get a good first and last name? Or can I have your first and last name? Not, would you like to input your first and last name into the system. No, you don't have a choice. I need a name. So anyways, he looks at me, he's like, well, like I said, I don't feel comfortable. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't care. But I didn't say that out loud, I said that in here. And he's like, I need you to find a way to move on without me giving you my first and last name. So I go to the back, like the back where our store manager is. I go up to him, I explain where I'm stuck as of right now. And my store manager like looks at me, he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, manager, hey, buddy, he won't give me a first and last name. I don't know what to do. I can't randomly pull a name out of thin air and type it into the system. I need them to tell us. Anyways, manager walks out with me and goes up to the guy at my register and is like, sir, we need a name. Just give us a name. We just need a name. And then the guy proceeds to tell my manager, I'm not comfortable. I don't care. Give us a name. So he eventually makes up some random name. Obviously, probably wasn't his because it sounded fake as hell. But it didn't matter because we just needed a name. And like at this point, tell us Mother Mary. Okay, that works. We can type it in. Store manager goes back to the back. I continue to process this guy's return. This guy had me questioning everything. Move on to the next screen. If it's a return, it's an automatic like skip on, past some screens and we go to the tender part. If it's an exchange, then it's kind of a whole different thing. I'm like, hey, you paid with a debit card. Do you have the card with you? And he just kind of looks at me. Doesn't say anything. And I'm like, okay, well, if you have your card, you know, insert the chip. Let's move this shit along because I need you to get out of here before I leave. I mentally was so mind fucked. I didn't know what the fuck to do. This guy does not stop there, okay? At this point, he's kind of, the vibes are off and I just want him out of the store. I couldn't even, like I kept my cool and I was being polite. But I was so confused that I know it showed on my face because I was... Anyways, he refused to give me his debit card. And that's how he paid on the receipt. And he looks at me, he's like, can you give me cash? And I was like, no. If you paid with card, it goes back on the card. If you pay with cash, you get cash back. If you don't have a receipt, you have like a little merchandise card, which is like a gift card, basically. He was like, oh, can I get a merchandise card? And I was like, yeah, that's totally fine. That's up to you. I tell him he can use it in store or online. Doesn't matter. It's a gift card. They just call it a merchandise card. It's like a merchandise credit, basically. His total on the card was $103. And I remember this exactly. And I'll tell you why. Confirm, again, are you okay? Because once I do it, I can't undo it. And he kind of seemed like the type of customer when I would finish moving the money to the merchandise card to then turn around and be like, never mind. So I confirmed it again. Are you cool with this? And he was like, yeah, go ahead. Put the $103 on the merchandise card, hand it to him. When I hand him the card, I'm kind of expecting, oh, thank you, have a good day, and him leaving. No. I wanted to go home so bad. He looks at me, after I hand him the merchandise card, he looks at me and he says, am I able to get $200 on this card? In my mind, I'm like, hold on a second. We just finished your return. I put your $103 that you got on that card. 200, where's 200 coming from? Not mad. I was just getting weird vibes and I just wanted him to go away. I explained to him, sir, like, I don't know what you mean. He's like, oh, I want to add $97 more on that card as like a gift card, whatever. And I was like, I can't do that, but I can give you a gift card of $97 plus your merchandise card of $103, and there you go, you have $200. he looks at me, dead in my face, and he says, I don't feel comfortable carrying around 2 separate cards. Okay, what do you want me to do about it? Because I can't do anything about it. And I tell him straight up, sir, I don't know what to tell you. You take your 103 merchandise credit from your return that we just spent 20 minutes trying to figure out because you refused to give me your name, and then you pay $97 on a gift card. You know what those equal? $200. Guys, like I don't fucking know, and I honestly, I hate saying this because I don't know, I hate saying this, but I hope he never comes back. Ever, or I'm literally gonna cry. He looks at me and he's like, can you go get the big man? And I'm like, your boss. And I was like, oh, okay. Not like I literally just said what the fuck he's gonna say, but whatever. So I go back to the back, and I'm standing there explaining it to my store manager, and there was another manager there present. My store manager looks at me and is like, hold on, rewind, what? And I explain the whole thing of him not wanting 2 cards, but wanting the balance on 1. You can't do that. Like, I don't, what? So, store manager tells me to tell him exactly that, and I said I did. And he's like, go try again. And I was like, okay, go back out there, tell the guy again. You can't do it. The customer is kind of like, you just know when the vibe is just not there. If you know what I'm talking about, have you ever been in that interaction where you're just, do you want the $97 for the gift card equal $200? Do you have $200 later to spend, or do you just want to keep the $103 card and get out? I didn't say that, but I kind of said that, just not in like the rude way. He eventually didn't argue with me and was like, okay, go ahead and just split it into 2 cards, I guess, because that's all you can do. Why am I here? So that was the first, that guy was there like as soon as I clocked in. Okay. This happened a couple hours later. Couple comes up and I say, hi, how can I help you? Because they were kind of holding like a pair of shoes, and then they were carrying the pair of shoes. And typically when they hold it, it's theirs and they want to do an exchange. Lady comes up with her husband, I'm presuming it's her husband, and says, hey, I'd like to do an exchange. I said, okay, great. She tells me that she purchased those shoes online and she wants to get a pair of shoes in store. Again, our freaking policy doesn't allow that. I don't understand why, but we can't do it, basically. I tell them, oh, I'm so sorry, but I can't do it. So what I can do is I can return your online order. Basically, we ship it on the behalf of the customers, and then you can buy those items separately. But I can't do it as like an even exchange in store. So they would have to return their online order. It takes about 3 to 5 business days for the payments to go back on the original card, and then they can buy, you know, whatever, separate, completely separately. Every time I say that to customers, they just give me the most disgusted look on their face, and they're like, what? What do you mean what? What I just said. What is what? Explain that to the lady. She's looking at me all confused. The husband's looking at me all confused. I explained it as slow and precise as I possibly can. I explained it how I understood it, because I was confused too when my manager told me that we couldn't do that, and I was like, oh, my bad. Nobody ever wants to fucking listen. The lady looks at me and she's like, well, that's not what your website says. Do I look like I am in control of our website? No. Do I look like I can control the policy? Fuck, no, I don't. The husband was more patient than the wife. The wife was kind of being a bitch, if we're being honest. If we're being honest here. And I explain again to the best of my ability why I can't do it, but what I can do, you know, something. I can do something. I just can't do what you want me to do. That is where the line gets drawn. She's looking at me, then looks at him, then backs at me and freaking moves her eyes up and down, pulls up her phone, and it's like, well, on the website right here, it says you can. I don't give a fuck what the website says. I cannot. And basically, the website said exactly what I said, but it didn't say it word for word of what I said. Does that make sense? Overall, the website literally says what I said, but because the website didn't have the specific words that I used, it's not the same thing to the customer. Never is. Guys, let me tell you something. One more customer that looks at me when I'm clocked in, doing my job that I'm clocked in to do. One more customer looks at me and says, "Are you sure?" I'm sorry, do I work here or do you work here? That's all I want to say to these people, but I don't. I'm just like, yes, I'm sure. We kept going back and forth. They were just not taking the correct answer appropriately. So I go to the back and get my freaking store manager again. I'm like, hey buddy, can you come up and explain what I literally just said 15 times? And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, I explained, and he was like, yeah, that's our policy, we can't do it. I'm like, yeah, they don't understand that. And I tell him that they have the website pulled up on their phone, and the lady keeps tapping on her phone. Fume was coming out of my eyeballs. The store manager goes out, explains exactly what I just fucking said. Nobody wants to listen, guys. Nobody wants to listen. And I don't know if it's my store manager looks like he's the boss and I just don't. I just look like a regular ass fucking employee who's clocked in. I don't know, but customers never listen to me. But they listen to my store manager and my assistant manager very quickly. The lady kept arguing. Kind of. She was like arguing, but she was also arguing the fact that the website was saying something differently worded than what we were saying. And my manager said that's the exact same. Like, we're just using our words differently. It happens. I don't know what to tell you. The lady kept pushing my store manager. I'm just like standing back. I answered the phone a couple of times. Like, I'm here if my store manager needs me. So many times I can say it. You know what I mean? But in order to avoid a negative review or a customer, to make the customer happy, my store manager and my assistant manager most of the time honors it. And it's like, okay, you know, we can bypass it just this one time. I hate that. I hate that they do that. Why did I just spend 20 minutes confirming our policy for you to come out and be like, okay, we can do it just this one time? No. Fuck those fucking customers. Fuck them. I don't know if you guys have ever had that altercation with a customer, and then a manager. But, I hate it. I'm like, why am I over here enforcing the policy and you come out and suddenly we can do it? What? I don't know. I'm not saying I hate my job. I'm just saying I hate when that happens. And it doesn't happen to every single customer. I don't like when it happens because then the customer looks at me like I'm stupid. And it's like, no, I'm over here enforcing the policy, but whatever. But that was only 2 stories, and it wasn't like multiple stories. Let me know if I should make this a series. I used to do it a lot on TikTok, and then people kept thinking I was complaining. I'm not complaining. In no way am I hating on the customers. It's just funny when the point of view is switched and you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? But I love you guys. And if you work anything with retail, anything with customers, anything with customer service, y'all got some strong bones. You gotta have some strong bones to be working in that. When I clock out and I go home, I'm never fuming and like beyond irritated. I'm more so sad and questioning A, my life decisions, and B, what happened to common sense? Common sense is not as common anymore. Very sad. It is what it is. But yeah, I love you guys and thanks for watching Crazy Work Story Times. Every day, something new happens.